my friends. The night of the nights has come. The night of the nights. Open your heart and your mind. Move to the rhythm and dance into your own beautiful reality. Beautiful reality. Feel free and expect the unexpected.
Hi guys, this is the advisor and welcome back to my channel. Guys, there is a 36-year-old mystery that has confounded the entertainment industry in Jamaica for all of 36 years. And not just Jamaica, but the US authorities, the Houston Police Department, and everybody else. And it concerns the death of Tenor Saw, whose government name is Clive Bright. And for the first time, you're going to hear about his 36-year-old son, Justin Bright, who was just a few months old when his father died. So he doesn't know his father at all. I'm going to let you know later down in the video where he is, how he's doing, and what he's making of his life. Stand by for it. Now, basically, everybody on this channel would have heard of Tenor Saw and would know his music. Because basically, 2/3 or more than 2/3 of the people on my channel are over 40. So they would be familiar with Ring the Alarm, Another Sound is Dying. They would be hear that under me sling thing, me under me sling thing. And also they would have heard of When the Roll is Called Up Yonder. Anyway, I wanted to give a little of his music in the background, but I don't know how YouTube stays, so I can't do that, unfortunately. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tenor Saw. Just so for those who never had this understanding before I get into how he died. Tenor Saw was born in 1966, and for the earlier part of his life, he was living in Painland. You know, he had several brothers and sisters, and he really just grew up in that poor community, and he, just clown out in the Waltham Seaview back to Waterhouse area for the early part of his life. He actually grew up in the church and went to church with his mother very often and even was singing on the choir. But as he got into his mid-teens and get a bit past his mid-teens, he decided to take up singing. But because his mother was a strict Christian, he didn't expect that he knew she wouldn't approve of him being in the dance hall. So he went away and went and lived with his father in the Maxfield area. And one of the reasons why he went over to Maxfield to live also is not just because that's where his father lived, but conveniently his father lived close to Sugar Minot. And Sugar Minot had a sound system, and Sugar Minot would take in young youths and check on their talents and maybe give them a break, or just say bust them if them really have the talent. Yeah, and Sugar Minot was well known for doing that. It was such an important part of his character that he called his sound system and his operations Youth Man Promotion. And a lot of youth used to hang out around Sugar Minot. Well, Sugar Minot saw the talent in him and gave him the mic more time, because when he went around Sugar Minot, he was about 17 years old. So he met Sugar Minot in late 83, and by 84, him bust big. Him just rise up out of nothing and became something, and became really an overnight sensation. Because his sound was just so unique. It has been said in the dancehall that the only man who ever rise quicker than him was only two men who ever rise in the industry faster than him was Yellow Man and Ika Mouse. Yeah, man. So as I'm saying, by 1984, less than a year after I meet Sugar Minott, this young man at the age of about 18, when he was at the peak of his career and became world famous overnight, he was only about 19 years old. Yes, man, if you want to know the definition of meteoric rise, this is it. At this point, I need to give you guys a little background as to why him dead and why the mystery had persisted for nearly 40 years. So, you see, basically, he had a very sheltered life. His life surrounded just the ghetto areas of the city Kingston, and he wasn't exposed to a whole lot of what went on outside of there. As a matter of fact, the first time he knew Nutford Boulevard or know anything about Emancipation Park or that side of, should I say, New Kingston, was when a group of these young artists went to a function up there in that area. So you see, he grew up very sheltered. So you see, when he became so famous overnight and he started having shows in Germany, in France, United States, Britain, Canada, and as far as Japan. And he would be taking plane like a bus because he would have shows in this country, and in 2-3 days he had another booking in another country, and in another few days he was in another country. But he was mostly based in the United States. By then, a girl got pregnant for him, and he made sure that she went up to the United States, and they were both living there. So over the 4 years between the age of 18 and 22, he didn't know how to handle life in general, and he did not have any mentor to guide him and show him the ropes of anything. So basically, he didn't know how to handle fame, he didn't know how to handle money, he didn't know how to handle responsibility, he knew not how to handle anything at all. But at this point, there is one thing I will say about Tenor Saw and what I rate him and rate men of the day with. If you look at all the photographs of him and the men around him, when you notice them pants have space in it, them pants have room in it. Don't like the little dainty boy them nowadays, who them pants stuck on pan them tight like gal picnic, like them a sell you know what. Them days the man did dress like man. As for this photograph, guys, if any of you know any of the gentlemen in this photograph, because all I know is Tenor Saw, who is over on the right, but put it in the comment section, I would like to know. Anyway, the fame and the success had gotten to his head to the point where him start sniff coke. As a matter of fact, him start sniff the white lady from him touch foreign me here. And he traveled nowhere without it. I hear that he became such a serious addict that he wouldn't even record anything in the studios because he just couldn't hold out long enough there. Many times the entire band would turn up in the studio to record and they waiting for him and him don't turn up. And there's somewhere space out. Anyway, on that fateful night, him have a young baby, a young son at home, with him baby mother. And what him do? Him just look upon her and tell her, say, I'm go up on the road. As a matter of fact, I hear he went on the road from in the day. Maybe like about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. He never said where he was going. She never knew where he was going. He just said, he just left the house. And she never tried to find out where he was off to or who he was going to meet. Day pass, night come, know him. Next day, know him. Several days passed and she had no idea how on earth to get in touch with him. Check all the studios that he did recording. Nobody saw him. Check all of the other artists and people who used to hang out with, promoters, everybody that she knew, and nobody could give her any clue as to where he was. She checked all hospitals, and there were no him in any hospitals. Of course, she had reported it to the police, and police was also looking for him. Now, this is where the story gets bizarre. And these are the two main versions of the story. The first version is that he was walking on this road in Houston, Texas, and car licked him down. The car was driving, hit him, and didn't stop. A man heard the bang, but nobody saw. A man heard like somebody was hit by a car, come out, see him, take him to the hospital, and when he got there, the doctor amputated one of his foot, one of his hands, and had to operate on his head because he had a severe head wound. And that he stayed in the hospital all that time in a coma until he died several days later. And even after he died, according to this first story, nobody didn't really know who he was. In fact, news never reached Jamaica about his death until October 26, 1988. And Barry Gardner, as you know him carried extensive coverage of the search for Tenor Saw and of Tenor Saw's death. But when he was saying that when Barry G first carried the story on the 26th of October, Tenor Saw had actually been dead from in August. He was dead at least 2 months before anybody in Jamaica knew that anything was even wrong with him. We hear in that story, it was still upon the first story, and it was when police, we hear now, link this John Doe, this unidentified man, with the missing Tenor Saw, and they put the two together, and that's when they found out who he was. By then, the government had actually buried the body already because they didn't want to keep it there, and nobody seemed to be able to identify this person. So them just put him in a pauper's grave. A lot of people didn't even know that. And that was when they had to redo the death certificate. And as you can see from the death certificate, this is what it looked like. It's August 13th, 88. Although in truth and in fact, nobody don't really know. Unless, of course, the man in the first story who say him here when him get the liquor and go out there and carry him go hospital at the same time. If that story is true, then the August 13th story can stand up. As you can see from the death certificate, if you look lower left, you will see where it said the date of injury was the 31st of July. And if that is to be believed, then it means that a man did actually hear when him get the lick, go out there, take him up and carry him go hospital at the same time. If this story is true, if this version of the story is true. And then he stayed there in the coma and he died on the 13th of August. So let's call that 2 weeks. But because this death certificate was actually filled out weeks after, according to what I'm hearing, them could have put down anything on it, any date. One of the causes of death that they put down was bronchopneumonia. Now, let's move on to the second version of this story of how he died. It is said that after he went missing, nobody couldn't find him, because remember that his baby mother, had gone to every hospital and they searched, and there was no missing person. There was no John Doe coming who fit his description at any hospital. So that in and of itself says something. And another story that I'm hearing, which means that this man might have gone rogue. I hear that the baby mother and child was not living in the state of Texas. So he had left the house, not tell nobody where him go, and end up in a one totally different state. So even if she was searching for him, she would be searching in that state because she would have been searching in Texas. She would have been searching in the state that they lived. Anyway, according to what I'm hearing, is that it is just some men walking along the highway, some men who work with the light and power company, and they were surveying the place to find where they're gonna run some new pylons to carry electricity, and they buck up on his fully decomposed body in the bushes and called the police. When the police came and the coroner get the body and tested it, that's when they found out all the injuries on him and the broken cranium and the brain damage and all of that, and the broken limbs. So they actually, it is said in the second version that actually they just assume say a car lick him. And when the car hit him, it threw him off the road and over into the bushes, and the car continued driving. So it is said that the coroner made up this reason for his death just for the records. But some suggest that he might have been really beaten and tortured to death for several reasons. And of course, those reasons are unknown to everybody, but the speculation is there. At this point, I need to say something. You see, real men, when a real man a left him yard, him tell him family where him a go. No real man leave him house and have people at his house and don't let them know where he's going. The only reason why Tenor Saw death remain unsolved is because nobody knows where he was going or who he was going to. So you see, he was so sheltered that he didn't even know how to approach such a thing, even with in his domestic life. So nobody knew where to start looking for him. People not live so. Once you live with a partner, you are no longer your own big man. You can't leave your house without the people inside your house. And I don't necessarily mean your wife. If it's your brother, or if it's your sister, or if it's your niece, or it's your son or daughter, let them know which part you go. At least if you don't come home, they have a starting point. He was going on this road or he was going on that road. He was going to see John Brown or Tom Stroke. You have a starting point. And even if he never reached to John Brown or Tom Stroke, you can check cameras along the road to see if he was walking in that direction or driving in that direction. You have a starting point. The person, if he gave you a name as to who he's going with, at least you can say, check so and so for him. But the mother of his son, who he was living with, had no idea on the face of this earth where he was going or who he had been going to meet with. And because of that, to this blessed day, his murder, and it's a clear case of murder, his murder remains unsolved. All we can do these days is to learn from the lessons of what happened to Tenor Saw and know that sniffing coke is not it. And parents, don't make your children be sheltered. Because it's because of the sheltered life that Tenor Saw had, which keep him from understanding the ways of the world. The lady, his mother, just grew him up in a church. So that's all he knew. He was not streetwise and he was totally unexposed. He had poor social skills and no domestic skills. So we can learn some lessons from the tragic death of this very, very talented Jamaican. And if we learn valuable lessons from this, his death will not have been in vain. As promised, I'll tell you now about Tenor Saw's son. When Tenor Saw died, he was just a few months old. So he grew up only hearing about his father but never knowing him. He is now a 36-year-old baseball coach in the United States. Very successful guy. And this is what he looks like. I don't know if it's true, but I'm hearing that he is not very close to his father's side of family and he sticks mostly to his mother's side. So some of his aunts and uncles, that is his father's brothers and sisters, have never even met him. But yes, he is aware of his Jamaican roots and he comes to Jamaica on a number of occasions. If Justin Bright sees this video, I want to clear that up for us as to whether he has neglected his father's side of family. I would like to know, but that's what I'm hearing. Thank you guys for visiting my channel. Like, share, leave a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.